Alrighty guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Let's Talk About. We're talking about all the movie news going around the world today. You know, that's movie, TV, even sometimes video games as well. We got a lot of interesting stories for you today, but before we start the video guys, you gotta make sure you press that subscribe button, because then you know when all these Let's Talk About It videos come out, and all these news related movie and TV show episodes as well come out as well. All the way, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but let's jump into our first one here today. So, Marvel has been the topic of conversation these last few weeks. You know, of course, there was the big article by Kevin Feige, talking about, what comes after, Secret Wars and the Multiverse Saga, which we already covered on a future video. You can go check that one out on the channel right now. We also, had Fantastic Four come out, which did very good at the box office. Marvel's, I believe, first $100 million domestically film of the year, looking to compete head-to-head with Superman for the rest of the summer. But, now that we got Fantastic Four, we've all been wondering what is coming next. What is down the road, besides the Avengers, but mostly X-Men, Black Panther 3, even Blade, even Deadpool 4. Well, according to a new article by Variety, we get a little bit of a look into that. According to them, Marvel's next moves, Black Panther 3 and a young X-Men cast to keep the cost down. Blade and Deadpool 4 are low priorities. Now, the main thing I think that we all want to talk about is the X-Men stuff. So let's just talk about X-Men first off. Okay, so basically what this article is saying, they were talking to an inside person, saying that for X-Men, they want to not make that. That movie's going to be expensive with the CGI and all the suits and all the VFX. So they're trying to find young talent, because they are going young, but not A-list talent. Which, for me, I'm a bit on. The good side looked at is that they want to get kind of unknown actors, but I think what they mean by, young talent that's unknown, but, actors you probably, have heard of, but haven't had their moment to shine in the sunlight, Don't expect them to go out there and cast, a Timothée Chalamet, a Florence Pugh, who's already in the MCU, I know that, or, even a Saoirse Ronan, those kind of in that age range, even an Austin Butler, if you want to put it in there. I think that's a good thing. I think, you keep it young, you get unnamed actors. Listen, Hugh Jackman was not someone people knew, I think, before Wolverine, Frankie Jensen, I think people, knew her from, Bond, but not really a lot of people knew. Those actors, were people that they were known, but they weren't full-led, movie stars that could, really draw an audience. The biggest draw, I think, in those movies was Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, from their Star Trek and Lord of the Rings fame. But you can also look at the other side. You look at what Fantastic Four did. Fantastic Four has a little man called Pedro Pascal, who is on top of the world right now. And you have to think, the reason why people go on to see Fantastic Four is because of the cast. They know Pedro Pascal. He's Mr. Hollywood. He's in everything. You have Joseph Quinn. Everyone loves Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things. He's been killing it also in Gladiator. He's one of those big upcoming stars. I think having an A-list actors in your movie helps it do better at the box office. It's just proven. Sure, you can say, oh, well, Superman didn't have any big-name actors. It still made over $100 million. Yeah, but the thing with that is that it's from James Gunn, who is an already established director. No shots at Jake Schreier, but you say Jake Schreier to a lot of people, it's who the hell is that guy? It's oh, he's the guy who did that Thunderbolts movie. It's okay. Not a lot of people saw Thunderbolts. I'm telling you guys, I think Thunderbolts is still one of my favorite movies of the year. But no one saw the movie. It made less than $400 million at the box office. I think going into this X-Men movie, you need to have a mix of both. My opinion, you cast both unknowns and some knowns, just kind of what the original X-Men did. And of course, they also go into here saying that X-Men will be more glued to the comics, and which I like, because I think a big part for me for the X-Men as well as that the X-Men deal with a lot of issues that we face today. You know, if it's with racism, even immigration problems, is like, and like they really deal with like, are they humans? Do they belong in society? Where do the mutant population belong in our society today? Which I think you could do very interesting things. I'm excited Jake Schreier's doing that. But I think, you know, you gotta cast some A-list, because you gotta draw people to the movie. Sure, you can't just rely on the name X-Men alone, because we've had many interpretations of X-Men before. People know the name. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, you really guys think that would have made $1 billion+ if they didn't have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman attached to it? Those two, it wasn't the draw of the characters of the X-Men, it was the draw of the big names. It was also the beef that they've kind of like fake beef they created online. That was like, I want to see these two in a movie together. Like people say like, oh, the movie stars did. And they're like, look at Tom Cruise, look at guys like Keanu Reeves. You know, these are guys who draw people to the movie. Like, I think, yeah, keep the cost down. I would love them to make an X-Men movie for maybe between the $150 to $180 range rather than a $200 million movie. You know, because I feel like when you make a movie for $200 million, it means that the movie has to make far more money for it to be successful. And most of the time, what we've seen from Marvel is that has not been the case. Because Marvel movies have had trouble even cracking the $400 million mark, as we've seen with Thunderbolts. So I'd like them to keep costs down, but I also think you need to put people in there that people know, hey, listen, you know, if you want to throw, you know, I don't know, let's put a name out there. Let's throw, I'm trying to think of a name to throw in here for the mix. Let's say if you throw a Taron Egerton in there. You know, I'm just going to put that out there, because I was reading some stuff about Taron Egerton today. Not bad things, but good things. You know, he is someone that people know. But in my opinion, Taron Egerton is not one of the guys like, oh, he's super well known. I think you could put a Taron Egerton, you know, if it was a younger version, like if he could play like a Wolverine. He's my cast for Wolverine. So like you could put him as Wolverine, and he could be not as expensive. You know, he's like in the range, in my opinion, of like where Nicholas Hoult is. Like, people know him, but he's not at that top level yet. You know, and hey, you know, I think this is a good idea. I'm excited for X-Men. I want X-Men to work. I'm excited what Jake Schreier is doing. I'm excited to see what he is going to choose for his story. I would love for them to do something with Sinister, something with the Sentinel, something that hasn't been done, that we haven't seen in the X-Men movies before. Because I like it, because, you know, I don't want Magneto to be the first villain. I think, you know, we've seen Magneto so many times, and there's so many great X-Men movies and stories you can tell. So I'm excited to see what Jake Schreier's going to do with that. But there's some good and there's some bad. Now let's move on to kind of the other stuff that they kind of mentioned in this article. Which that first thing is Black Panther 3. Yes, listen, Black Panther 3 I think is a much more anticipated for people now, right after Sinners, because, you know, Ryan Coogler is the guy right now. Like, what they're saying here is that Marvel is very excited for Black Panther 3. Of course, you know, we've talked about Black Panther 3 a little bit. You know, we've talked about, you know, Denzel Washington is possibly going to be playing the main villain of the film. And it's like, anytime you get a guy like Denzel Washington, you know you're doing well. But the also question is, like, can they somehow bring a new T'Challa into this movie? Because I don't think Shuri as Black Panther really works, in my opinion, because to me, T'Challa is Black Panther. No, sure, Shuri is Black Panther in the comics, but to me, it was way too quick. I don't think the Shuri the Shuri character is ready to take on that mantle of Black Panther. I really didn't feel like it, and I think in the movie, like, you're supposed to feel like, oh, Shuri earns the title. I'm like, no, you know, she takes it, she becomes Black Panther, in my opinion, for the wrong reasons in that film. So I'm excited for possibly what Kevin Feige's talked about. A rebooted universe, not rebooted, but a reset universe where different actors are playing our characters. And I talked a little bit about how Black Panther is kind of in that realm a little bit. So yeah, they're very excited. Listen, Ryan Coogler, at the top of his game right now. People want Ryan Coogler to direct anything. Like, every studio wants this guy. And Marvel, luckily, I think, has a really good relationship with him. I think, for Ironheart, for what that show was, I think it was an okay show. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was in the medium, and Brian Coogler, of course, worked on that show. So I think they're very good. Of course, Sinners still is my top movie this year. Such a transformative experience. Ryan Coogler, I think, is going to be up there in a few years with directors like Chris Nolan, Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino. Even if he's not there yet, I think he will be there one day. So Black Panther 3 seems like they're very much believe Black Panther could be, a really big movie for them, especially if they got Ryan Coogler in it. And Black Panther movies have always been big movies for them, And, of course, there is the mention also of Blade and Deadpool 4, which in the article it says they are low priorities, which kind of sucks, not for the Deadpool 4 part. I don't really need another Deadpool movie because I feel like I got the Deadpool movie I wanted. I don't really need to see Ryan Reynolds as that character again. But for Blade, I just feel so bad for this movie, guys. Like, when they announced Blade and Mahershala Ali, I was so excited. I was so excited I went to go watch the original Blade movies for the first time, and I enjoyed the first one. Wasn't a huge fan of the next two, but still, it made me excited for Blade. And then all this talk about it, it's delayed. They're giving away the costumes to Ryan Coogler's Sinners. It has just been a tough road for this movie, and there's been good reports saying it's on track. It's coming. We're still working on it, and now they're saying oh well, it's not really the big priority for us, which does really suck in my opinion because I want to see Blade. But what did you guys think of this article? News on Marvel being excited for Black Panther 3. Really excited about the success of Fantastic Four. Keeping the X-Men cast to having actors who are not very big, but in my opinion, you can kind of do the bit of both if you kind of get an actor who's in the vein of a Nicholas Hoult and Taron Egerton, who are big names, but also, not really, the biggest movie stars in the world. And of course, also them talking about how Blade and Deadpool 4 are kind of on the low list of movies they want to get greenlit right now. But what are your thoughts on this article? Leave your comments down below. And let's move on to our second topic today. Now, we have in my opinion, a very little small movie coming out. But a movie that I am very much looking forward to watching. And that is The Naked Gun. Listen, I remember when they announced the cast of this a few years ago, with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. And of course, the spoof comedy has been a genre that kind of, played out that people really didn't want to see spoof comedies anymore, and in general comedies really stopped being made. You look at back in the 2000s, we would have more than three to five comedies every year. I still go back and watch a lot of those comedies, and now it feels like we're lucky if we get a good comedy every so few years. And we got this Naked Gun movie coming. And I've been wondering, I have loved the trailers. The question is, would people like the movie? Well, according to Rotten Tomatoes, they do. So let's go take a look at some of those reviews and that RT score. Alrighty, guys. So, as you can see, we're on Rotten Tomatoes, and Naked Gun is currently sitting at a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is absolutely terrific. I didn't think this movie would get 91%. And let's go take some of those reviews right now, see what they are saying about The Naked Gun. We're going to look at some top critics here. So first we're going to go from Neil Monroe, Movie Mom. Nothing is sacred here, and everything is up for humor, including the franchise itself, and the jokes fly by so fast. And so shamelessly, that by the time you realize you didn't like three funny ones have appeared. Okay, that's good. Despite being so paint-by-numbers faithful to the first Naked Gun's movie plot, beats that you can point them out, this is still pretty damn funny. Red Hanson Polly Global Mail, sorry if I got your name wrong, man. That's a long name. As basement-dwelling as some of these gags are, just know that Schaefer is often choreographing them as precise as a John Wick fight, narrowing, pulling back punches, and landing punchlines instead. We got Michael Phillips from the Chicago Tribune. He did not like it. In the end, though, this Naked Gun movie has little interest in temperamental skill in the art of deadpan throwaway, which was a crucial element in Police Squad and intermittently in the three movies. Okay, so you didn't like it. Johnny Olensky, New York Post. Any lingering doubt should be assured by the resumes of the Naked Gun team, which are perfectly suited to the style of humor and assault of absurdity. Okay, that's a very good one. Next one, Tim Greason from Screen International. This new film does not have Nielsen or the original trilogy's creative brain trust, but director Akiva Schaffer and actor Liam Neeson pull off a consistently amusing face simile. Okay, why? I don't get. My one thing with reviews is like, why do you gotta use so much complicated words? Like, my God, the people reading this stuff might know what they mean, but for me, I'm like, I don't know what face-simile means. Like, come on. Like, I need to understand, some of the things they say. Okay, we're gonna look at, like, two more bad reviews that didn't like it. It would be easy to hail the Naked Gun as something better than it is since its simply existing is cause for celebration. But like most reboots, the best thing about the new Naked Gun is that it might send you back to the original. Alright, that seems someone who didn't really like the film. Okay. Then Ty Burr from the Washington Post. This will be the last one we look at. The earlier scenes are so shamelessly, stupidly funny with a hit-to-miss gag ratio of about 75% that you can't help be disappointed as the ratio steadily sinks over the course of the movie. Alright, so as we can see here, a lot of people are saying, like, the jokes really worked for them. Like, even if there was one joke, there was three more or a bunch more that were way more funnier, so you kind of forget that joke. But a lot of people say, like, it's just, nostalgia, it's a joke, doesn't help the film in any way. But, hey, I'm looking at this score, and it's at 91%, guys. Like, listen, I want to see good movies. We all want to see good movies. And some of my favorite experiences watching movies are comedies. Listen, I just watched Happy Gilmore 2. I did not like that movie. I didn't. I really did not like Happy Gilmore 2. I thought there was a lot of funny stuff in it, but I thought, the ending of that movie, the third act was so bad. It was so bad. There was some funny stuff in there. And I really want to like comedies again, because comedies give us something not any other movie can do. It can make us laugh. It can make us remember that no matter how bad our life is, we can still go have a good time at the movies and laugh our asses off. And it looks like this one, they've done it. Like, I was watching a few interviews, and I remember Liam Neeson was talking about something. He was like, listen, I went in this movie, and they told me not to be funny. They told me to be serious. And, sometimes that is the best type of comedy. I feel like a lot of movies and comedies, they're like, oh, we gotta have funny one-liners, we gotta have funny jokes every second, and then the audience will laugh, and then they'll think it's a really funny movie. Sometimes it doesn't work. What I've loved about the trailers is that Liam Neeson's character, Drevin, I can't remember his, Frank Drebin Jr., I love that he is acting so serious in the movie, that he is not trying to be funny, he's not trying to be a comedian, he's taking everything he's doing so seriously. And of course, you also got Pamela Anderson, which, a lot of people was like, oh, the girl from Baywatch and the girl who had that whole thing with Tommy Jones. We all watched that Pam and Tommy show. We all saw. But I would recommend go see what she's been doing recently, The Showgirl, which of course I think was nominated for a few awards. And really, I think Pamela Anderson has really become, one of those. I think she's become a pretty good actress, and it seems here that she's in another really good movie, and I think she's kind of revitalized her career. And instead of being the sexy bombshell, which she's kind of playing that in this movie, but I think she's also very talented. I think the pairing of her and Liam Neeson I was very interested about, and I can't wait to see that in the film. But hey, it looks like people are loving the movie. They're saying even it's the funniest movie in the past decade, and hopefully this movie leads to us getting more comedies like this, and then the return of the comedy movie to movie theaters. What do you guys think about the reviews for The Naked Gun. I think they're absolutely stellar, and it makes me even want to see the movie even more. Leave comments down below, and let's move on to our third topic, our final topic here today. Shifting back to Marvel. There is another Marvel movie coming up before Doomsday. I don't know if you guys know that. A little movie called Spider-Man Brand New Day. And, they've just started shooting the movie, which means, little pictures and things are coming across the internet and making us fans speculate what the movie's about, who's in the movie, and, of course, who the villains are in this movie. So we got a new report by the comicbookmovie.com saying Spider-Man Brand New Day production photos may confirm some of the movie's villains. Now I'm gonna put the picture that's going around. This is from Dustin Daniel Cretton's assistant, and basically we have two photos that are showcasing two villains. We have, I believe, a villain called the Tarantula. I think that's what he's called. Yeah, the Tarantula, who's looks like kind of like a Spider-Man ripoff, and of course, one that I kind of know of. It looks like Boomerang. Now, what you might be thinking, the report's saying, these are going to be the villains. I'm like, listen, I think what they're doing is that they're saying, hey, there's going to be some small-time villains in this movie. Listen, I think they are going to go the route of, they're going to show us, how's Spider-Man doing by himself, according to, leaks, this takes place a year after Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think is pretty cool. A little time jump for Peter Parker. And, why wouldn't he? He's on his own. He's going to have these small-time villains showing up. And, listen, I'm so glad they decided not to go the multiverse route. Listen, I think I enjoy No Way Home. But after the ending, I'm like, they got to do what they said they're going to do. They showed Spider-Man on his own. I want this movie to be street level because that gives you the opportunity to introduce so many cool Spider-Man characters. On my top of the head, I'm thinking characters, like Scorpion, Tombstone, Hammerhead, the Black Cat, so many other Spider-Man villains that you can do because you're doing street level. And another thing I'm really love about this movie is that they said that most of it is going to be shot on location. Which, I think when I watch a movie, I feel more in tune to it when I'm seeing, when I'm like, oh, wow, this feels so real. It actually feels like they're actually there instead of just putting them in front of a green screen and doing oh, good, go fight in front of the Statue of Liberty. It works, if you're doing a big, sci-fi type adventure movie. But I think for a Spider-Man movie, I think doing street level and shooting it, on site, it's going to work so well for it. Now, we know that we're going to be having these street level villains. We know we're going to have characters like this, like Boomerang and Tarantula. Tarantula was a guy, guy who's read Spider-Man comics, hasn't even heard about. I would love to see another Shocker in here. I'd love to see Shocker again, man. Even if it's played by a different guy. But if people are going in thinking these are going to be the main villains, no. I'm telling you now. These two are not going to be the main villains because these are characters that Spider-Man could beat in 5 seconds. They're throwaway characters. And, I trust what Dustin Daniel Cretton is doing. Listen, say what you... I think Dustin Daniel Cretton is someone that has not been fully utilized yet by Marvel. Of course, they had attached him to do Avengers Kang Dynasty. That fell apart. He left the project. Now he's doing Spider-Man. I'm just thinking, he did so many cool things with Shang-Chi, with the fight scenes, with the story of that movie being actually really emotional. I'm excited to see what he brings to Spider-Man because with Spider-Man, you get to, in my opinion, it's just one of the first times we get to see Spider-Man in a movie where he's down on his luck. Listen, Peter Parker is a very, very, tragic character. He's always losing people, in my opinion. It's the stuff. When he loses things he loves is when the character is most interesting to me. That's why I'm such a big fan of, the Gwen Stacy death and what that does to Peter Parker. And, we got a lot of new cast members. We got Apparently, we got Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. We got the Punisher coming in. We got Sadie Sink playing some character. We don't know if it's Mayday Parker. We don't know if it's the Black Cat. We don't know if it's Jean Grey. Who knows? She could be playing Galactica from Marvel Rivals for all I know. Like, this, I am excited because it feels like this isn't just, Spider-Man 4. It is a new step in the Spider-Man franchise. Even the title is different. Instead of having home the title, it says Brand New Day. That title signifies to me that this is a Spider-Man, who is entering a new part of his life. He's entering college. He's going to go through college. He's going to meet new people. Characters, in my opinion, like he should meet are like characters like Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn, which I really hope Sony lets them use in this movie. But what do you guys think? We're getting kind of an idea about what this movie is starting to look like for Spider-Man Brand New Day. But we also got to look at two possible villains who might be coming into the Spider-Man franchise who have not been done before, but are on the smaller scale, who I believe are not the main villains that we have not seen yet. So what do you guys think about this? Leave your comments down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.